Hello, 7Es, receiving students and teachers.
Hello, Mr. Dumo.
Thank you. Sit down. Seven is and receiving students. In our previous lesson, we were looking at multiplying integers. And most of us have understood how to work out multiplying integers. So let us check on if we can still remember the steps involved in multiplying integers. Now on the screen, I have the recapping exercise there. It says positive 5 times positive 2. We are going to go through the answers together. I would like you to listen carefully to the steps again once more when we go through the answers together. Now, 7Es and receiving students, what do you think the first step that we are going to use? As you can remember the previous steps we used. Put your hands up. Put your hands up. Jubilee, what do you think? Receiving students, you can also give your answer to your teacher.
Write the question.
Very good. The first step is you are going to write the question down. Good. Now, step 1, write the question. And who can tell us the second step? Step 2, Shannon.
Check the signs.
Check the signs. 7Es and receiving students. Do you think is correct by saying check the signs? Okay, good. Very good. Yes, we are going to check the signs, but second step says we are going to use the rule of multiplication of integers. But before we use that rule, we are going to check the signs like what Shannon has said. So when we check the signs, what signs are we looking at? Okay, positive times positive. It's circled in red. Very good. Now, when we check the signs, if it's positive and positive, we know that the rule that we are going to apply is positive times positive, and your answer will be positive. Definitely your answer will be positive. So, when you work out the answer, you should have positive 5 times positive 2 is equals to positive 10. Is that clear, 7Es and receiving students?
Yes.
Very good. Now, class, we are going to move on to another new topic, and we are going to be still dealing with directed numbers, using the same rule, but this time we're going to work with directed numbers. In our previous lesson, we used that rule in integers. This time we are going to use it in directed numbers. And as you all know, directed numbers are numbers such as a negative or a positive with a decimal or a fraction. So now we are going to multiply fractions. Class, our lesson topic for today is directed number operations, multiplication of fractions. Now we are going to multiply fractions. Okay? Now, 7Es and receiving students, this is how we are going to look at the example. On the screen, before we look at the example, I will show you again the rule for multiplying directed numbers. The rule that we used in multiplying integers is the same that we are going to use in multiplying directed numbers. Now, by now you should know the rule. Positive times positive is equals to positive, and negative times negative? Positive. And what about positive times negative? Negative. And negative times positive? Negative. Very good. That's the rule you should be applying as well in today's lesson. Now, I've got an example activity for you on the screen. And the example activity reads 2/5 times negative 5 over 8. 7Es and receiving students, the example activity on the screen is 2/5 times negative 5 over 8. Now, this is what we are going to do. I am going to go through the steps together, And I would like you to listen carefully and take note of the steps that we are going to go through. Class, all sit up straight. Receiving students, please listen carefully. Now, step number one. Step number one, it says, write the expression and cancel the common factors in numerators and denominators. That's step one. So what you are going to do is, when you write the fraction out, the first step you do is you are going to simplify the fractions as usual in multiplying normal fractions. This time, dealing with directed number fractions, still you are going to apply that step by simplifying. You check the two fractions and see if you can simplify. Likewise, you can see on the screen, 2/5 times negative 5/8. The numbers simplified are as follows, which you can see on the screen. So after you simplify, you should have this fraction, 1/1 times negative 1/4. So the second step is you are going to multiply the numerators and the denominators. Very good. When you do that, you should have something like this. Before you do the multiplication of the numerators and the denominators, you have to check the signs. Check the signs to see if you have either a positive multiplying with a positive or a negative multiplying with a negative. As you can see, what rule do you think we're going to use here? Is it negative times negative? Ruben, what do you think? Look at the signs circled with orange color on the screen. What are the two signs?
Positive times negative.
Very good. So what will be the answer? Is it positive or negative?
Negative.
Very good. Ruben, it will be negative. So we should be checking the signs as well again. So when we know that the answer will be negative, then we start multiplying applying the rule, and then we write down the equation and start cross multiplying, like 1 times 1 and 1 times 4, and the answer will be negative 1/4. Is it negative 1/4? Yes. You will have your answer negative 1/4. Can you see that? Yes. So 70s and receiving students, you are going to use that rule plus the steps in multiplying fractions, especially directed numbers, and I would like you to do the following exercises on the screen. You are going to do exercise A, B, and C. Again, you are going to work in your groups to solve the three exercises. Simplify each of the following. To the receiving teacher, please check to see if they are working in their groups, discussing the rule and the steps on how they can multiply directed number fractions. You can start now. You should be discussing in your groups. If you are finished, you raise your hand and I will check your work. Receiving teacher, you can check your students' work as well. Okay, class, by now you should be finished. I will be selecting students to come up to the front and write the answers down. Receiving teacher, you can also ask your students to give the answers or go up to the board and write down the answers. After they finish writing down the answers, they are going to explain the answers to the class. 7 we are going to do the same. So one of our friends is writing his answer on the board. Seven-ish and receiving students, your friends will put the answers on the board and they will explain. While they are doing that, you are going to check your work against their work on the board. To the receiving teachers, please check the student workbook. Some of the signs are missing, so you can help by giving the correct signs on each of the exercises as usual. You're going to explain your answer. Okay, let's hear from our friends. We'll start from you, Emmanuel. Emmanuel, go first. 7 receiving students. Let's hear from Emmanuel. He's going to explain his answer.
Negative 2/3 times 7 equals negative 2/3 times 7 over 1, and there's nothing to divide. I simplify, so I straight multiply and get negative 14 over 3 equals, and I divide with numerator by denominator and get 4 over, negative 4 and 2/3.
Thank you, Emmanuel. 70s and receiving students, do you think is correct? Yes? Thank you, Emmanuel. Well done. You have done a very nice working out. Thank you very much. Okay, 70s and receiving students, just look at Emmanuel's working out. You will see that he has done something here. When you look at the second step he used, he said negative 2/3 times 7 over 1. Do you understand why he said 7 over 1? Because any whole number is always over 1, especially when you are trying to calculate fractions. So he's correct by doing that. And he said there's no numbers that he can simplify, so he straight away multiplied the numerators and the denominators, and then he came to his answer here, and this fraction is known as a what? Improper fraction. So he has to write down a proper fraction by dividing the denominator 3 into the numerator 14, and then he got his answer negative 4 and 2/3. Thank you. Let's give him 2 big claps, Emmanuel. Now we'll have Tara. Can you explain your answer?
Negative 1 over 2 times 1 over 3 is the first step of multiplication of fraction. Is you write the question down, so it's the same as the expression above. The second step is you times the numerators and the denominators, which give you the answer as negative 1 over 6.
Thank you, Tara. Let's give her 2 big claps again. Class, straightforward. The answer she explained, so it's clear to us. And let's move on to the last one.
Okay, negative 3 over 4 multiplied by negative 1 over 5. Okay. There's no number that I can simplify, so I just multiply it straight. Okay. 1 times 3 equals 3 over 20. Okay. Negative times negative equals positive, so positive 3 over 20.
Very good. Thank you very much. Let's give him 2 big claps again. 70s and receiving students, by now you should know how to multiply directed number fractions, okay, by using the rule of multiplying directed number fractions. With that, class, let's look at the summary of today's lesson. Today's lesson summary is we are going to look at the steps involved in multiplying, not multiplying integers, but multiplying directed numbers. When you are multiplying directed numbers, you are to firstly write the expression and cancel the common factors in numerators and denominators. Second, you are going to multiply numerators and multiply denominators. Those are the 2 main points you have to remember when you are multiplying directed numbers. With that, 70s and receiving students, our key phrase for today's lesson is directed number operations, multiplication of fractions. And our next lesson will be on directed number operations. We are going to multiply decimals. 70s and receiving students plus receiving teachers, thank you for today's lesson, and see you in the next lesson.